the quarantine interviews are back, and Wexford fans will need absolutely no introduction to the man we're talking to tonight. But for anyone who's been living under a rock, we have Graham Doyle with us. Made his League of Ireland debut relatively late at 34, but went on to make 151 consecutive competitive appearances for Wexford Youths, including captaining Wexford Youths to the First Division title in 2015. Graham, Shane Keegan, on your retirement, he said that you were the first person he called when he got the job in 2012, and that signing you was the best move he ever made in management. Where did you know Shane Keegan from?
I didn't really know Shane personally. Shane would have been involved underage in Kilkenny. So he would have known my brother Sean more than he would have known me. And we were actually out in Buckley Park watching a game, and I was going to St. Kevin's. That Wednesday night I actually played the friendly for Wexford and Carlow. I was supposed to be training with St. Kevin's. And Shane rang me, so I had a chat with Davy Mulcahy, actually, the chap I was working for at the time. You know Davy, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
And he said you'd be mad not to take the chance, you know.
Really?
So, yeah, but I wouldn't have really known Shane, if I'm being honest, before that. He would have known my brother and all, and I would have heard of Shane, but personally I wouldn't have known him till that phone call.
Yeah.
And I actually thought he was taking the mickey out of me when he went.
So it wasn't a hard sell then to come to Wexford Youths in 2012, was it not?
No. Look, I was involved with freebooters, and my brothers were to manage my brother Sean and David. And if they had stayed involved, I don't think I ever would have left. So they left, and I was looking for something to do. And I was involved with the Irish amateur team at the time, and Jerry Davis, who's over it now, he was the manager of St. Kevin's. So I'd kind of been talking to him about it, and was going to go up there and train and see what it was like. But when Shane rang, and then the big selling point was when I went to the first game, I met Roxy, who I knew really well.
Yeah.
So I don't think people have realised how big an influence Roxy is on everything that happened down there. But Roxy was a huge part of me signing anyway.
Yeah, no, I completely agree on Roxy. He's somebody who's, I think, massively underrated as a footballer. Like, everyone knows about Danny Furlong and Paul Murphy, players like that for Wexford Youths. But Roxy Keenan was a hugely important player for Wexford Youths, especially in 2015.
Oh, but even before that, we were people would say, like the lads you obviously mentioned were really talented, and they're unbelievable strikers. And lads would talk about other players that were there, but I think Roxy, personally, was evidently Roxy's the biggest influence on that run in the club. We were a different team when he didn't play. The younger lads played with us, and when Roxy played, you'd almost go as far as to say they were nearly a couple of feet taller when he was playing, because they knew that he would do all the rough stuff, but he wasn't just a rough, tough player. He could finish. He was unbelievable in the air. He made my life easier on set pieces because he was so good in the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, he unbelievable. So once I knew he was signing, that was kind of, it was an easy decision to make then.
Yeah, so you were one of a good number of players who came over from freebooters to Wexford Youths. Could you just tell people a bit more about your career before Wexford Youths?
Well, I was with freebooters for 18 or 19 years before I signed for Wexford Youths, and as I said, my brothers were involved, so we would have been fairly successful in Kilkenny. We would have won a couple of Leinsters and got to a couple of FAI semi-finals, and I was involved with the Irish amateurs then, which was a big thing. But the Irish amateurs was hard to get into. There was two very good goalkeepers there at the time, and so I was kind of getting a bit frustrated there as well, you know. So yeah, that's it. Like, people that ask you what did you do before you were Wexford, I was with Freeworks for 18 years.
That's a short answer in a way.
So,
yeah. So, I mean, probably getting into your mid-30s then, you were probably thinking your League of Ireland chance had passed you by. But did you ever have any offers before that?
As I said to you, I worked for David Mulcahy, so probably when I was 27, 28, I met, didn't meet him, I talked to him on the phone, Eddie Gorman, about going to Bray. And I was working with Davy Mullen. He was playing obviously at the time, and he really was kind of, suggesting that I go, but I was only after getting into the Irish amateurs then. So I thought, obviously, if you go playing, the Irish amateurs is gone. So I said I'd stick it out then. And after that, I didn't get a phone call again till Shane rang.
Yes,
you
6 years later.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
And had it been sort of the goal in your mind to play League of Ireland, or was it really on your radar at all?
When I was younger, obviously, when you're younger, you want to play, and Kilkenny City were going fairly well at the time when we were younger. So you would have always wanted to play, and you would have seen lads playing, and you would have said, yeah, I could do that, I had a very fleeting spell with Kilkenny City under 21s. Had a shocker against Cork City out in Buckley Ball. It wasn't for me.
Right.
And went back to Freeburg's now, and thought this is never going to happen again. And once I got over 30ish, kind of said that was it. I was happy with me lot, and once the boys were staying involved with Freeburg's, I would have stayed there for evermore. Probably would have still been there if they had stayed involved.
Yeah. So things started to change then after Shane Keegan signed you in Wexford Youths. They moved up the table fairly rapidly. When I had asked for questions for this, somebody who I'm sure you know well had brought up the first training session in 2015, and a lot of players chimed in. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So look, we would have been. Well, I would have presumed I was fit enough, and for my age, I keep saying for my age. So we done I don't know what you would describe it as, a hit session, I suppose they'd call it now, I don't know, in the gym. But Jesus, Ron, I never felt that like it in my life. I actually had pains down my side. My side swelled up. Actually here, I remember coming to night the next day and I had, Jesus, I'll never forget it as long as I live, the pain. And it was all, I think Jason Ryan was involved, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
This was the first time I'd ever met Jason Ryan. Jason didn't know how old I was, or Jesus, I'll never forget that as long as I live. That's Andy Foley as well.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a lot to answer for too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the toughest one. Even Roxy, who was phenomenally fit, he was. Well, he tells me he was struggling, but I don't know if he was struggling as much as I was. Ryan Delaney is a professional now. He nearly killed poor Ryan. Yeah. Okay, it was a bit of a shock to the system. Yeah, definitely a shock to the system. Anyway.
So, what was different about that squad in 2015 that sort of achieved so much, kind of out of the blue in a way?
I think what I would say is the kind of core of that squad was there from the beginning. A couple of lads in and out, and a couple of lads came and went and came back. Like Danny had a stint where he went away, but there was, I think, the season before where we kind of chased Galway for the playoff spot. We didn't get it. I don't think we ever were really going to get it, but we kind of had a run. And I think we kind of thought after that there was a chance that we could have a good go at getting the playoff spot, not winning it. And yeah, I think a couple of lads like myself, like Roxy, kind of got to grips with it and thought we were good enough to play at that level and go a little bit higher maybe. And he kept Roxy. I keep going back to Roxy. He kept Roxy. Roxy had a lot of chances to move on,
right?
If you want, but Shane kept him. And once he kept him, yeah, it made me feel like I thought we could go and do something a little bit special that year. And Shane has a habit of convincing you things.
Yeah.
He can. But it was, yeah, I have to say, even after we lost the first two games, it was a little bit different. We were, yeah, it affected us the first two games, but I don't think anyone ever thought we're in serious trouble here, but they were just a brilliant group of players. They were the group with Seth. They all got on so well. It was a pleasure to play with them. Really, really was an unbelievable group of players to play with. My only regret is that not all of those players got to come up when we went up. That's probably the one regret I would have. I would have loved them to have a go. Not like Shane Bryan, brilliant players, but I would love them to hold on to a couple of extra lads just to give them a shot, because I think they deserve it.
Sure.
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 But, yeah.
So if that training session was a bad memory of 2015, what was the best memory of that year?
Wow. Um, Jeez, I don't know. It's a lot of good memories of that. I always go back to the game. I don't even think, I think we played Waterford away, and it was lashing rain, and I think we won. This is so bad. I think we won, but a vivid memory I have of the game is talking to the back four after it,
Hmm.
and basically we had a chat and said that if we were going to go up, that we would win it. The others would do all the fancy stuff and all, but if we played as well as we did that day, we would win it. And I have a picture of it somewhere. There's me and Lasky and Gary. We're standing on the pitch, and that's what the conversation was. I think it's a personal memory. It's probably my biggest memory of it that day, because kind of got the feeling off the boys that it was like, yeah, we can, like, you know. So yeah, that's probably my
Yeah,
best memory of that.
I,
Strange
I'd
memory,
I'd
not
love to
full
see that
memory.
picture. I'd have to say.
Yeah, I went through it out for you.
Yeah. A question that I'd asked Kylie Murphy, who's sort of the other great Wexford Youths captain of the last
The
12 years
best,
or so, was
the best Wexford.
what makes a good captain?
Um, Kylie's answer is probably going to be better than mine, because I was never captain before I went to Wexford.
Really?
I didn't want to be captain.
Oh,
Um,
I did not know that.
Shane, no, didn't want to be captain. I tried to give it up a couple of times, because I kind of, I'm not sure if goalkeepers are the best captains. You're a bit distant from the play, and if you're behind in a game, you can keep you in with a chance, but you can't influence the other end of the pitch. Um, I suppose the way I tried to do it as captain is try and influence lads by the way I done things.
Hmm.
You know, try to just make sure that you were honest. That's the best thing. Honest when you were on the pitch, when you were off the pitch in training, um, and mainly around the club as well. Like, you know, if something had to be done, and just do it, or someone wanted to talk to you, just have a chat with them and try and make sure everyone was involved. Yeah, look, it's probably not the best answer for what makes a good captain. Kylie would give you a way better answer than I would. But yeah, look, it's well, I never really took it as a tough job or anything. I just kind of took it, and something Shane wanted me to do. As I said, I wasn't overly keen to be the captain, but look, it worked out for a while anyway.
Well,
Um,
from an outside, like I wasn't as involved with the squad then. But what I thought one of your great qualities was that because not everything went our way this year, but I thought what you did really well was you kept things light. Whenever we put two defeats together at the start of the year, and there was some other results which you didn't really expect a championship winning team to come out with. But I thought one of your skills was that you kept it light. Do you think that's fair?
yeah, yeah. When you see it again, it's probably unfair on the rest of them. I was a little bit older, so the kind of attitude was, look, the game is over. We have to get up and go to work. The best thing about playing soccer is the following weekend you can always reverse the result, or reverse the tide of results. Uh, yeah, we all try to keep it light, but people think you have more influence than you actually have. The group of lads, you didn't have to do a whole lot of influence with. Like the younger lads, like Ryan and Gary at the time, maybe just have a bit of a chat with them and tell them, that they're not doing anything wrong. Obviously, every now and again we had to have a bit of a row, you know, and being on goalkeeper, you can shout louder than some lads.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit more. But no, look, the whole, you're right. The whole thing about it was to keep things light. The big focus on that season was that what we kept saying to everyone was, no one expected us to win it.
Mm-hmm.
The only team that thought we would win it was us. The only group that thought we would win it was us. It was Shane, in fairness to him, had it as a very was against them.
Mm-hmm.
Their attitude for the whole season. So they were very easy to keep motivated,
Sure. Did you ever feel nerves that year?
Oh, every game.
Serious?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd be yeah. I would try and keep warm-ups the same way. If we done well the week before, I would try and eat the same day of the game. but I don't. I think if you don't have nerves, you don't play as well as you should. Um, Nerves give you that little, but once the game starts, the nerves are gone. But literally 30 seconds before a kickoff, I'm saying, geez, I hope to dribble the ball into the box and I can pick it up straight away, get a bit of a feel for it. But no, I'd always be nervous. I actually think you're probably something wrong if you're not a little bit nervous, But I was nervous before every single game,
Wow.
Especially probably the most nervous I was the UCD game at home where we won, or drew 0-0, was it? In the Lashing Rain again.
Yeah.
First time we played them.
I think every game that year was Lashing Rain because I don't seem to remember a drawing match there.
Right. Yeah, no, the first game at home against UCD, who were brilliant football inside, obviously.
Yeah.
I thought that day if we didn't get beaten, they'd start maybe believing a little bit more because UCD were playing really good football that year, in fairness to them. But yeah, that's probably the most nervous that game.
At Wexford, I think going right way back to before your time, even Pa Russell and Pa Doyle and Jason Russell. We've had a good tradition of keepers at Wexford Youths, and I think even up to today with Tom Murphy and Kyle Cook, we've got good keepers there. Do you have advice for young keepers that you would generally give?
You get all the cliches, the whole usual thing of it's all about experience, and if you do make a mistake, just brush it off. And the most important thing I would maybe say to a young like Tom, he's after having a tough year, really tough year, but he played unbelievably well in games. In fairness,
Absolutely.
So it sounds like a cliche, and just the experience he's going to have is unreal. And my mother, the one thing she used to say to me is, Graham, they had to get through 10 other lads before they get to you. She never watched them play really. But advice, look, it's a horrible position to play around. Realistically, when things are going wrong, it's a terrible position to play because you're on your own. As I said to you, it's an isolated position. Goals going in, no one ever looks at the midfielder that misplaces the pass, or it's always the end result of the ball played. Oh, should the keeper account for that, or could he have done this? Or the one thing I would say is just don't drop your head. You have awful days playing and goal, and it's going to happen to everyone. But with that little bit of experience, it gets a little bit easier. You get the run of. To be fair to Tom again, I keep going back to him, his back four was chopped and changed.
Absolutely.
Regularly. So once they get into a groove there, he's very good. He doesn't need any advice off me, but I think he'll benefit hugely from this year. It's experience is the only thing. How old is he? 20, 19?
I think he turns 20 next year. No, or maybe he is 20 already. It's one or the other.
Yeah,
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, he's going to have 10 years before he's in his prime. So
14 years until you made your debut.
Yeah, he's going to make a lot of mistakes, and he's going to have a lot of good games in between now and then. But just for a young lad, the biggest thing is training. Just train, dedicate, train. That's the only thing a goalkeeper can do, because it's repetition. That's the terrible.
So you made a name for yourself sort of after, say, 3 or 4 years at Wexford Youths. Did you ever get offers then to move on to bigger clubs?
Yeah, I had a look. After the first year, I tried Waterford. I met Waterford, obviously. That was after the first year, and I just didn't get a good vibe. And then I met 2 times. The main, not chances to leave, but offers to leave, were the year before we won the league was at Loan and Bray.
Right.
So, but again, it sounds stupid, but once Roxy told me he was committed to staying, there was never a chance of no real desire to leave. That sounds, but even if we had been struggling around the bottom, once he said he was committed to staying, I would have stayed.
Absolutely.
That's never really. There were the offers, but never really came close to leaving.
Yeah. What do you miss about the League of Ireland?
The match days, not the training sessions or the travelling. Travelling is a huge part of it, because there's nowhere easy to get there, you know.
Yeah.
The match days are the things, especially at home. The home games were brilliant. And even when we started down there, some games there might be 50 people at it, there might be hardly anyone at it, but the actual match day itself was unbelievable. I always got a good buzz going down there, because when we go down, we'd have a cup of tea with Carrie, and you know, just really, that's the thing I miss most. Yeah. The warm-up and the games, yeah. Especially the home ones. Loved it.
And do you still think there's that attraction there for players moving from sort of top junior sides to the League of Ireland to have that match day experience?
Yeah, there is. I think there might be a bit of a lack of desire for League of Ireland clubs to bring players from junior football.
Right.
There's never a good relation, or going to be a brilliant relationship between League of Ireland and junior clubs in any county, because the junior clubs obviously want to keep their best players, and they think the League of Ireland team are trying to take it, which on occasions they are. But yeah, look, it's when you're playing junior and you're playing your domestic leagues, you get cup finals and they're big days. The FAI Junior Cup and the Leinster Junior Cups are huge games, but the buzz that you're getting in them, I think in the League of Ireland you get that, or close enough to that consistently. Just the game days, the preparation, when things are going well, when things are going bad, you still have that same buzz on the match day. Mm. With junior, that's the one thing I would say to some junior players if they were taking it. You can always go back junior, you can't always go forward to League of Ireland. And look, everyone will have the opinion of whether a team is good or bad or not, but the league is a step up, no matter who you are. Or it is a step up to go play League of Ireland, because what the big difference is, like, there's just Wexford alone, there's hugely talented players in the junior league in Wexford. There's easily a League of Ireland team in it, like a really good League of Ireland team. But there's a consistency that you can't get away with playing a weaker team. I'm not really going to train this Friday night, or I'm not going to do. That's be my opinion of it. I think there's a consistency you have to have playing in the League of Ireland. Mm. Just even mentally, that every week you have to be on it. Whereas in some junior leagues, some weeks are on it because some of the games are really good, but then sometimes you're playing a team maybe at the bottom, or a cup team, and the games kind of are just, you're going through the motions, you know.
Yeah. Well, Graham, you managed to do it incredibly for 5 years. Where did the energy come from to keep that consistency sort of at a relatively later age?
I just love playing, you know, and it took so long to get there. When you got in, it was I loved it. Just loved it. There's no, and at my age then, when you got in, it was so, like, we had some good keepers coming in, so you had a fear too, thinking, God, if I do take a week off, or like Sinead used to play me in a couple of the EA Cup games, the early ones, and I used to try them mentally. I used to get onto them if I wanted to be playing.
Yeah.
You know, but we had really good goalkeepers there, so you're thinking, geez, if I do take a weekend off and they get in and get a run, then I'm sitting on the bench. So that was, yeah, but I loved playing. So, I mean, there was sometimes you'd be really sore from the week before or during the week, but yeah, no, it would have took an awful lot to stop me playing.
Yeah.
Look.
Well, you were recently in management. Was your management style similar to you as a captain, do you think? I would have liked to have thought I could have, but after a while, it's a tougher job. It's a very tough job. People, it always looks like an easier job when you're not doing it. Mm-hmm. I would have found myself getting very frustrated on the sideline, I do have to say. Not with the players, with officials, and just with lack of preparation of certain things that we could have done, and that's obviously comes par for the course with the level that you're coaching at. But yeah, no, I don't think I would make a brilliant manager. I genuinely don't think I would. Coaching wise, different. I love doing the goalkeeping coaching, but
I think you have to have a certain temperament for the manager that you can distance yourself from the emotion of it. Whereas I can't. I don't think I can. It's I get a little bit too invested, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And is goalkeeping coach sort of how you'd like to see yourself in football going forward?
Yeah. Look, I wrapped down a tough 2 years. The last 2 years, as a family, we lost both our parents.
Of course, yeah.
So kind of soccer kind of took the back seat. Now that in the management side, that probably affected me too because it happened probably at the beginning of my second season. So and I didn't have much interest in thinking of anything about soccer, Ron. But a chap I used to play against and played with, Eddie Clifford, he's involved in a new club here in Kilkenny. So I'm actually back playing for him.
Oh.
Oh God, look, in the bottom division in Kilkenny. But St. Canis is the team. I actually started playing with them under nines many moons ago. But he kind of asked me to help him out and get involved. And so I'm back playing a bit. And that kind of got the bit of a buzz going. So I was actually talking to Dean Brothers about doing the coaching badges. So I am, I've applied, and I would, that's the line I would go down. I would actually like to do kind of probably kind of like an academy kind of type thing,
Right.
rather than being part of any one club. It's, I think goalkeepers get forgotten about to a certain age. I think all of a sudden people go, oh, he's a good goalkeeper, we'll get him coaching. But he's probably 15, 16 at that stage, you know, before they actually get full dedicated goalkeeping. I know what the underage at the League of Ireland are getting it, which is brilliant, but the lads outside that tend to be, you know, we'll put them in the corner and kick a few balls at them. So I wouldn't mind doing an academy like that.
Yeah. So academy coaching is a bit more attractive than, say, going back towards League of Ireland clubs and that kind of coaching.
No, look, if the right opportunity came up with that, you'd love it, but it would have to suit family life now and everything, because I got away with murder for a long time at home, so I have to make sure that it suits that. But yeah, like it's I would think I would probably try and lead down towards academy rather than going down that route. Yeah.
Well, Graham, thanks so much for all your time. I'm sure everyone at Wexford Youths is dying to hear how you get on with whatever comes next. Thanks very much.
It's a pleasure, Ron. Absolute pleasure.